Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Bob Pace and welcome to my live stream here to fight CPS and stop taking our children. I'm broadcasting live from Surf City, USA on the west coast of California, south of Los Angeles. I'm about 3 blocks from the beach and I've been doing this live stream for over 2 years. Started back in October 2023. Now, I talk about the Child Protection System, CPS for short. It also could be the Child Protection Services, it could be the Department of Children and Family Services. And it'd be called the Cabinet. It all has various names around the world, around the country. But it's a government agency, and in the United States, it's social service. And it deals with the protection of our children from neglect and abuse, It's been an agency that was started in the 60s, and in the 70s, they started having some laws. And finally, in the year 2000, they started to buckle down on it. But it's now become very corrupt now. Very, 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 very corrupt. And I have nothing nice to say about CPS, and it's sad. I'm talking from firsthand experience. My kids were kidnapped in 2015. I had 3 of my children taken from me and my wife. And I had to hire an attorney and go financially bankrupt to get my kids back. It's a terrible, terrible thing with the power that they can do. The power that they can do. It's tough. It's tough. Excuse me, I needed to blow my nose and I didn't want to do it. I don't know why the lighting is showing my hair so weird. I see strings of light come down my face, but it look like hair, but they're not hair, it's reflection. Oh, okay. There's one hair there, maybe. Anyway, pretty good for an old dinosaur. I'm a 76-year-old father of 6 with over 43 years of marriage experience and 61 years of life skills. That's how long I've been working. And so I have a lot to offer you and a lot to help you out with you. Now, I'm going to talk to you about different areas. And the way this works, you just type in a comment or you can call me. It's 626 698 0990, and you can call me. So I can work off your written comment or your phone call. Now, when you're doing a comment, make sure to include a simple name. Now, I know a lot of you will have interest in names based on YouTube or Facebook, but a simple name like Bob, Ted, or Alice, And then where you're located, your city and state would be nice. Or if you're from a country, and yes, there are 30 countries that have been on here. In fact, this morning, I had a lady, Stuart from Scotland, that texts me a lot of messages. She has an awful case there in Scotland. So I do hear from people from around the world. It's interesting. I have people from far away as Indonesia, in Bangladesh, in India. Then in continent of Africa, I have several countries there, South Africa, and various countries in there. I have some from Europe, Great Britain, England, Scotland, Wales, Germany, Norway. Then over in Canada, I got a lot of the provinces, all 50 states. And I got New Zealand and Australia, and Hawaii and Alaska. But I'm pretty much heard from everybody. I'm here to help all people with a CPS question or a concern. I'm also to help you with your attorney. The attorney I work for, his name is Vincent W. Davis. He can reach at 888-888-6582. I want to thank him for all he does. But he can help you. He has over 30 years of fighting CPS, has won numerous cases. He's also a trial attorney. He can do trials. Furthermore, he can also do civil lawsuits against the agency or against the person. If they committed perjury in court or some corruptness goes on, he's not afraid to sue CPS. But anyway, that's what you're going to be hearing this afternoon. Now, I will talk to you about my case because I too was in long time with me having a CPS matter, so I relate my stories. Also developed about 5 rules that will help you with your case. Things that I wish I had followed, I would never have had the problems I had. And one thing I found that's most important is be highly educated and use the internet wisely and look up things. You have Chat GPT and Google Search, or 2 of them. You got other search engines out there, but it's also how you format the words. You want to look something up and it's regarding CPS, start off with the city, the state, and if you're outside the United States, you may start off with the province and the country. Whether you're in the States or the country, you follow with the letters CPS. And right away, a lot of things will appear. Now, if you want to further filter down to, like, say you want to look for an attorney, you could say attorney, family law, and juvenile law. Or if you're looking for a pro bono attorney that is for free, you can type that in too. So that's the format you use to do your investigation. You need to learn all about them, the pros and cons. There's a lot of things you need to know about them. Now, you'll probably want to know, who am I? Well, as I told you my age, I'm 76 years old, an old dinosaur, but I'm still forever young in my heart. I still feel good and look good. I've had many jobs in my lifetime, from being a marine animal trainer to an ocean lifeguard. Hello there, Heather Stewart. She's the girl I was telling you about from Scotland. Hey, Bob, I'll call you tomorrow for your advice so far, and God bless you. Don't forget, when you call me, my number's up there, but you're in Scotland, so you need to call our country code. It's 01. United States is 01, and then you dial 626-698-0990. Unless you got a number in the U.S. that you can call. And a lot of people buy numbers in the U.S. and they can actually call. It's pretty easy that way. But anyway, there is Heather Stewart, I was talking about earlier to you all, and she has a terrible mess with CPS, and I will help her. Now, CPS is a very complex agency to deal with. They're not transparent. They lie, and they will steal. They take money greedily. It's $1 trillion business, is what they are. Trillions of dollars. And every place in the United States, every place that has counties in every state will have a CPS entity. Now, there usually are contacted between 2 types of individuals. There's the professional reporter and the lay reporter. These are individuals that call in reports of negligence or abuse. Now, the professionals take a special training, because of the job, they're required by law to report it. That's like school teachers, administrators, counselors, nurses, all the people in the school have to report if they see it. And if a child comes in dirty or disheveled or not clothing right, they're going to call and report it. Now, the other kind of reporters are the layperson. They're like a relative, family members. It's, acquaintances, the guy at the store, those kinds of things. Those are called laypersons, and they will report. But a lot of times they don't have the training and background, so the report may not be valid or incorrect. Now, when the report comes in, they have within 24 hours to investigate the report. So someone will make an allegation that they saw the parents beat the child with a metal pipe. Now, I'm exaggerating because that is definitely would kill somebody. But many of the parents do use abnormal punishment. Now, I believe in the timeout punishment. You have children, you should give them a timeout. But be specific that when they're done with the timeout, they come back and talk to you. A timeout is simply where someone takes complete time out and think about what has happened or what has been happening. I think timeouts are great. I think they are. But the layperson only gets right 25% of the time. 75% of the time, they're wrong. The professionals aren't that better. They get right 50% of the time, but 50% of the time, they get it wrong. So those are the two kinds of reporting. Now, from that, they may do some phone callings, they may check around, but they'll come to your home because they want to see your home and they also want to take the child. They believe you're guilty until you're proven innocent. That's the big difference in the court of law. You're guilty until you're proven innocent, where in most cases you are innocent until you're proven guilty. But not with CPS. And they'll turn your whole livelihood upside down. It's a very terrible thing when it happens. It's very terrible. Because you will hear a knock at the door. And most of the time, people answer the door. Well, that's one of my rules. You don't answer the door. Because you don't know who's on the other side. Because somebody could shoot a gun and kill you. Could be a crazy person. Now, we've had a lady lost for almost 2 months now. I think Gundry is her name, and she's in Arizona. We don't know if she answered the door or what happened. But she's gone. She's missing. Okay. Switching gears, that knock comes on the door. Rule 1 is you don't answer it. You don't let them answer it. And what you want to do is that you want to be quiet, lay low. Now, you can make arrangements with your family and friend members that a special ring or special knock, and you can answer the door. A special ring or special knock. Now, if you happen to let them in, or you meet the social worker outside or the police, be courteous, but don't give them anything but your name. Tell them that you ask them, is this a legal matter? If it's a legal matter, then you tell them that you need to have your attorney present. Your constitutional right is always be allowed representation through all proceedings um, of your matter that they're coming to investigate. And it's a hard thing because you're scared. You don't know what's going on. When someone invades your home, they invade your privacy. That's why a locked door, when you shut the door, think of your home as your castle. Your door is your drawbridge. Your drawbridge is up not to be invaded. Now, if there's a crime going on or if there's severe hitting or crime behind the doors, the police will come in, social worker will come in. This is for cases when there's no noise or ruckus going on. Someone is called in and reported maybe you're doing something to your child that's wrong, or maybe you're not protecting them from supervision or something, lack of supervision. But anyway, you tell them that you need to have your attorney present, and that way you can talk to them. Without an attorney present, they're going to eat you up alive. They're going to take your children. They can't take your children in your home unless they have a warrant or unless there's an emergency going on. If there's an emergency going on, they will enter. Now, the police are only supposed to come out to protect the social worker, not to be a gopher for the social worker to help them out and enforce their laws there, because the police are independent from social workers. But the social workers use the police to intimidate the people. You're welcome, Heather. And I will try to help as best I can. And she says, thank you, Bob. That was nice. A bit like the devil, he comes to kill, I can't read it, and destroy. Yes, deceive and destroy. Now, the thing is that if you got them out of your home, you're fine. Now, if they have a warrant, you need to make sure the warrant is good. Now, it's very important when you look at the warrant that it has your name and who else is involved, the family member. Usually it's the husband and the spouse. They'll have a date. Now, that's real important to look at that date. That date should be a date that the court's in progress. They'll have a habit of using old warrants. And that can be very, very dangerous. Also look for a wet signature at the bottom by the judge. It's not wet, it's a copy. You need to see original. They're supposed to have original. Either the social worker or the police went to court and got the warrant. And then the judge will put specific instructions on it, like only to talk to the child or to take the child or talk to the parent or take the parent or search your house or not to search your house. If you don't let them in, they can't search the house. Because they're going to start nosing around. That's why you don't want them in there. Now, if your child's playing in the backyard, don't take them to your child again. Set up another time to have this meeting with them and your attorney. Impress upon the fact that you have an attorney. You don't have to tell them that you don't have a real attorney. You could probably find one in time, or, it's important to be strong about this. Now, another thing you gotta be careful about is medical trafficking. What's happened now is every emergency room and every urgent care is starting to have social workers, CPS social workers in there. They're listening. Also, when you have a baby, there's social workers in the hospital. They're going to try to take away your child. Just because maybe you tested positive. But you're entitled to protective rights there. You got the summons to come in there, and then all of a sudden it's it is like there. Hold on one second, please. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back again. I had a minor interruption. I apologize. Um, okay, good. Um, when they're at the hospital, you bring them into urgent care, the emergency room, they're going to listen. They're going to ask questions. Don't want to talk to them. And you don't have to give up your child. You don't have to give up your child. Now, on that warrant, it's got to tell them specifically what they can do, the date they can come into the home, the names of the children, the names, of course, the people involved are being charged with negligence or abuse. The warrant doesn't have all that things. It's a bogus warrant. I'm very sad to say social workers lie, police lie, and they've also got sometimes the wrong form. But they will try to attempt to take your child. You just tell them, leave me alone. And you ask them again, is this a legal matter? If it's a legal matter, tell them you need to have your attorney present. But they're going to try to take your child away from you because they're going to make some allegations. So another form of medical trafficking is where you're having a baby and they test positive. First of all, social workers are not on your guest list for your maternal room, your room where you're having a baby. You remember when you set up that room, you make a list of who you can invite. And the policemen and social workers, but they'll try to come in there anyway. It was so bad. One person told me they ripped the child away still with the umbilical cord on. It wasn't connected to the mother, I don't think. It was still left on. It hadn't been cut yet. Well, I guess it was previously cut when it came out of the mother, but I think they have to trim it more. There's a procedure that they do. But those are two kinds of trafficking. You got there's medical trafficking, of course, there's child trafficking, child and adult trafficking, and anyway, you got to be really careful dealing with these animals. I don't know what else to call them because they're not very nice. They weren't nice to me, even when I went to the top brass. I went to the top and tried to make complaints or tried to tell them they're doing something illegal. They don't want to hear from you. Their whole interest is to get that $20,000 per child. See, they get $20,000 per child for every time they have them in custody. So they have a container of shrimp up there, cook asada or whatever the case would be. Um, the other thing I wanted to mention about was that you need to create what's called a notebook. It's for record keeping, about 6 inches thick, and you want to load it with um, dividers that can put labels on the dividers. So you can organize all your documents. You're going to have court papers. You're going to have social worker papers, CPS papers. You're going to have maybe some papers from the school, or you're going to have your certificates from the classes, the parenting classes you take, or you may have certificates from the treatment kind of classes that you take, such as domestic violence or the drug problem. You may have to go for drug treatment, so forth. Remember, the best parents are the biological parents. So if they can straighten up and make it better for the parents, that'd be great. But it seems like lately they've taken a position where um, so with this notebook, you put your papers in there. There's two other things you need to generate. One is called the incident time log. It's where you get a sheet of notebook paper and you use 3 sentences for each incident. And you do the oldest first. So you put the date and time and either put the address or the phone number of the person you're talking to. Then you want to copy your number. You want to create the incident. So on the first sentence, the first line, you got the date, the time, the phone number, the address, and then the people involved. Now, the second line, you want to put a summary, a 1 sentence summary of what the incident's about, what the incident's about. And then the third line is the outcome of the incident. What happened? If you haven't finished yet, just leave it open, come back later. But you need to have this done all the time because things are going to happen. You won't remember everything 6 months later, 12 months later, where the case would be. It's very important that you put that in. I was hoping that someone would text me a message. So far, we have Heather Stewart. If any of my regulars in there, I'd like to hear from them. Christina Renoza, Lisa from Montana, Mary Jo from Montana. I have a lot of you regulars that used to come in here all the time. I keep drifting off. I don't know why. I drift off. I gotta find that out there. Now we have about a half an hour left, and I've talked to you about getting an attorney, how important it is, a tool there. I didn't talk about how to hire an attorney. Now, the hire attorney, you need to find an attorney that has the background, that knows how to fight CPS. And that's someone who is trained as a lawyer in the areas of juvenile law and family law. One that has experience winning cases. That's really important there. Now, I have Vincent Davis. I told you about him. He can be reached at 888-888-6582. So besides the instant log, and by the way, the third sentence is a summary of what happened. If you don't know it, you skip it and come back to it later. Now, another thing you can create is called a journal. It's where you want to write to your children what's been taking place, a day-to-day journal. It's important for them to know it because one day they may not see you. And it's important they have that journal for them. They'll see what you're going through because CPS will not communicate with the parents and the children. They do not tell the children what the parents are doing, and they do not tell the parents what the children are doing. And I realize a lot of times they're put with foster cares. Now, that journal starts day one, and you put your thoughts, but you want to be able to direct it to your children. So that's why you say there, dear children, I'm a loving dad, and I've been wrongfully lost custody of you guys. Or if the truth is you did deserve losing custody, you can tell them. But the journal is a very valuable piece of tool that you can use there. Very valuable. Now, I talked about a notebook. I talked about them coming into the house and about medical trafficking. And now I've got through just talking about what to do and not to do. Another area that I didn't really do and that you should do is to research the internet. It's very important that you place the words just right. You start off with the city and your state, and then the letters CPS. Now, if you're out of the country, you put the city and your province, then your country, and then CPS. CPS will bring up a lot of information. CPS will bring up a lot. If you want to be more specialized, you can put in a specialized note. So that you want to get an attorney that specializes in the area of family law and juvenile law. So you can either use Chat GPT or Google Chrome to search up. And I told you the format of the word is so important. Be specific, make sure it follows CPS. And you got to spend countless hundreds of hours to find out all you can and how you can be helped. CPS and social workers are very demeaning people. They don't hire within. So going back to attorney, you need to find one that has a lot of years experience. Now, Vincent Davis does. He has over 30 years experience. Now, if you want him, he works out of Orange County, but he'll do other states, other counties, northern, southern. His fee will fluctuate. Right now, if it's in LA County, he has a $5,000 retainer and $550 an hour fee. But it all depends on the complexity of the case, how long the case has been going on. You know, those are all important things before you get a custody. I know it's hard for you to go through this. It's hard to also talk about it. Many of you have been going through it for a long time. Now, in my case, it started when I was 2015. I actually started 2010. I got laid off through no fault of my own. And then family relatives, these are your um, non-professional reporters called laymen. Well, these laymen may have called in, and my problem is I had relative on my wife's side of the family that constantly called in and berated our kids. Okay. Um, in my case, as I say, I started in 2010, and for 5 years they hassled me. They couldn't find anything wrong. I had them out to my house. I had them inspect my house. But my family members on my wife's side were the ones calling in. They're the reporters, the lay people, and they um, would call in and make false allegations. They say we weren't taking care of our kids, weren't feeding our kids, no utilities turned on. It was bad. It was totally bad. And it was wrong. So this went on and on. Once a week, either her mother, father, her three sisters, or her brother would call. And they make up stupid stories that weren't true. And then I'd have to answer them. And at first, I let them in the house. There was nothing wrong with the house. And I would later meet with them out at their car. They didn't want them part of my life. and everything I got disproved. But unfortunately, they got a hold of the police because they thought it was serious enough to get a hold of them. Instead of using the police as cover to be their safety, what they did is have the policeman ask me to enter my home and open it up. And that was a mistake because I didn't know you could say no to policemen. I had nothing to hide. Now, unfortunately, my parents were dying and they had died, both of them, at different times. But they had asked me to take all their belongings and give it to family members and friends. So I was doing that. I was sorting it in the living room. I had all the boxes, the furniture in the living room. I didn't have appliances or kind of thing. The rest of the house was fine. Kids each had their own bedroom, own bathroom. They lived upstairs, and their rooms were kept spotless. That was one of their jobs, was to make sure the room stayed clean. But I think the clutter of the boxes and the furniture really disturbed the social workers because they said that you were endangering the kids. Now, my youngest one was 9. So I don't know what in danger it was because it went to his waist, the height of the boxes, which is only a couple level boxes. But that was in the back of their mind. And when the police came, they also brought 5 firemen. There were 3 social workers involved, a code enforcement person. I think that's enough. I think it was 6, 7 people. They all wanted to do it. And like a fool, I allowed it in my home. I did not know my rights. I understand what I could do to stop them. At first, I didn't have an attorney. I tried to do it a year by myself. But doing so, it got me deeper and deeper in trouble. I would constantly argue with the director, the person at the top, and he had a really magnificent building, the Taj Mahal, County of Orange. His office was great. His workers didn't work in such a great office. But I tried to talk to him on numerous occasions. It was worthless to talk to. He couldn't really help me. Um, so they went around and they had also 5 firemen and they trampled my furniture. They broke my furniture. They put dirt on my furniture. It was sad. It was sad. And the code enforcement, the 2 of them, all they could find was my gate was a little loose and the yard needed trimming. Well, I had let go the landscaper because I couldn't afford paying anymore to keep up the yard. So that seemed to be a problem for them. They're trying to look for something. If I knew the law about not living in a home, I would never have that issue. I mean, the whole thing was not very pleasant to go through. One of the next things they do is they rounded up my kids at school. They felt because the home was in the situation was it wasn't safe for my children. So they round them up. They rounded up. Um, I'm having some technical problems here with the program. I'm sorry. Also, it's hard to talk about something that happened to you. It's not a good feeling. It also happened to me when I was older. You know, losing a job in 2010 at the age of 60 is hard, or 55, where it was there. You know, it got so bad that things went downhill for me, and it just, CPS wasn't fair. They didn't care. They're mean, and that's why I wish I had an attorney. I wish I had gotten an attorney. Oh, wow, there's Carolyn Stoneberger. Thank you for calling back. Yes, please ask a question. Type it in. Carolyn, I still don't know where you're at. I know, Heather, the devil is a lot like CPS. But Carolyn, just put Carolyn in your place where you're from, your city and your state, or if you're outside the United States, you put your city and your country. And then ask her a question. I will answer anything can. There's roughly about 10 minutes left of my live stream. So I'd like to have, a chance to answer your question. Again, thanks for the 2 thumbs up, the people that give me. I can't see because I'm using a abbreviated version of StreamYard. Um, hmm. But you know, CPS is like the story you ever heard of Alice in Wonderland, and you see a rabbit in your garden, you jump down the rabbit hole, and you meet the Cheshire cat, and the Cheshire cat sends you room after room, and it's a lot of wasted places, a lot of wasted time in rooms. They're very deceitful. They embezzle money. There's a case right now in Richmond, Kentucky, where over $1 million has gone from CPS. They found a social worker that embezzled 600,000 of it. They're still looking for the other 400,000. My social worker was terrible. Didn't even have a college education. All she thought about was the Gucci purses and the clothes that she got at the BMW car. And she got numerous bonuses. That's what they do with this money. They pay people bonuses. You should never be paid in CPS. It should be a job you like to do. You should be well educated. You should have at least a college degree in social works or social services. And you furthermore should have a secondary college degree, a master's in clinical psychiatry. Clinical psychiatry and social work go hand in hand. And you got to have a degree there. Most people have degrees when they do a job. I mean, to be a lawyer, you have to have a degree. Also, the need to have a mentor, someone who stays with them for a couple years. I think it would take maybe 5 years of riding around with a mentor before they'd be fully qualified. They need to have experienced people. Nothing wrong with young college people, but they don't have the experience of raising children. Other things go along with that. So if you start off with those kinds of individuals and then you have them lay low for 6 months, and another people come in, so forth, maybe bring them up to speed. But it is a hard thing to deal with because I had to go to the top. The top did nothing, didn't listen to me. It went in one year, went out the other year. Now, in the United States, there's no supervisors or board of directors that watch social services or the child protection system. They're free pretty much to do what they want to do. There is a director, but I think he's worthless. There was a case in Arizona called the Pink Ladies. And it was in Prescott, Arizona. Now, hold on a second here. Dang it. They kept sliding my program there. It was in Prescott, Arizona. And 8 social workers decided to do something they thought was cute or funny. They went out and bought 8 pink t-shirts. And on the t-shirts, they had on the front, stenciled on the front, "We're professional child kidnappers." And on the back, they said, "Parents, do you know where your children are?" Now, that was a sickening t-shirt. And they paraded around in front of all the big stores, Costco or Sam's Club or Walmart or Sears or Best Buy, Target, all the stores there. And that really got the parents mad. In fact, they had called in and had that stopped. That was wrong. But it was a hard thing to swallow. Hard thing to swallow. What is your question, Carolyn? Because we're getting running out of time. We're about 5 minutes left of my show time. I'd like to have your question so I can answer it. Heather's going to call in tomorrow, she said. Heather from Scotland is going to call in tomorrow. And I did get back 2 of my children, by the way. I did lose one of them. My wife lost one of them because she was coached and educated that she could divorce her parents if she wanted. She was 12 years old, and the social worker and the judge and the CASA coached her to get adopted. They did such a good job. They had her get rid of her original birth certificate, get a new one, put the other one, I guess, blocked or on hold, and have a new birth certificate. That was from her adopted foster care. How could they get a new? She's only born from us. That's the most stupidest thing I've ever seen, for them to sit there and change the birth certificate because she wanted to. That's wrong. She also got a second Social Security card and was double dipping from her retirement plan. You see, because of my age, I was getting additional funds for my 3 children. And they gave her access to the new adopted parents to get my money. That's wrong. That's totally wrong. That came from a judge and a social worker and the CASA, who's supposed to be a court-appointed advocate, a service advocate that's supposed to help out people. Instead, they're listening ears for CPS. It was used against them. Anyway, she did all that. She divorced her parents, changed, got adopted, and then she was collecting an additional $2,000 a month from Social Security. Then they had the gall to say that I had the money. I didn't have the money. The adopted parents had the money. Where'd they spend with the $26,000? Of course, I had to fight social services and said they're wrong. I said all the money I got was spent to take care of my children. I had to put her things in storage. I still had to maintain a room for her bedroom. And I still was paying, expenses like that. So this whole thing was ludicrous. So they've hammered me and hammered me and hammered me. But this has been a struggle. And this show, it can't help me. But keep in mind, it's very important you get an attorney. And it's so simple. It's 62. Just call in 888-888-6582 and ask for Mr. Davis. Now, I know it's hard to come up with the money. I had to sell my home to come up with the money. My forever home, I had to sell it. Anyway, my time is fast approaching because I have a video that I'm going to play for you all to see. It's about 2 minutes. So, Carolyn Stoneberger, again, it's nice to meet you again, but I still don't know where you're at. I hope you call in tomorrow. Heather Stewart from Scotland, I hope you call in tomorrow. I know you've had a terrible time with your kids and so forth. And I want to thank all of you that gave me the emojis that are in this room. So I'm going to play my live stream. God bless you. I'll be on a third time. By the way, I'm on at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's 8, 1, and 6. Those are my show times. All right. Good afternoon and see you in the evening.
A vivid picture is encrypted.